Hi, welcome to Kim's Art Show, episode 23. Pretty intense, 23. It's now November and we had started this just in August, so I'm kind of proud of everything that we've done here in the studio. We did the Martian pastel and I spent a couple more minutes because this wasn't another episode in order to finish. Will I put it in my studio and look at it? Yes. But what I wanted to talk about is like these little kinds of suggestions of other color, other values, kind of move our eye throughout the painting. And then I did kind of this layered color in the distance. I like that directional mark making for the sky of up. But what I also wanted to show is I learned when I did a plein air painting, like paint out, that was judged, was that I just had this. And I would be like, oh look, I did this of what I was looking at. But the real kicker, the people who'd done that before, they brought frames. And so they would like take their image and put it in a frame. And talk about like changing the aspect, right, of what your piece looks like. So different. A little upgrade, right? So I just wanted to show that. Okay, so we're working on another paper. The thing is, when you learn about art supplies and how to, there's always a million different things that you can do. This is another company, not Sennelier like the other one. This is called Clairefontaine, another one from France. And it comes in all these different colors. Today we're working on kind of a warm gray. So I am going to put my dust trap. You'll be amused to know that the last one had a small selection of dust that was greenish. And so I put it in my little bowl. And it would be funny for me, we'll see if I have enough to make a pastel stick at home out of the dust. I do it outside, and you basically take alcohol, like rubbing alcohol, and you mix it with your dust, and you end up with a stick when it dries, which is pretty cool, because it's going to be a neutral, a mélange of all the colors that you've used in painting pastels, right? So it's like your own neutral palette. I'm just tacking this down. So we have my value study, comes in very handy. And you may remember this mess of a garden. It's like the garden in October. It's not beautiful in terms of like a traditional garden. It's very overgrown and a mess. But I like that kind of abstractness to it. And you may recall it from a recent episode where I had done one of those quick workup as a kind of an exercise to get out of your head. And then I took it home and I played with it more. And of course, it was a landscape that I made into a square. And so we're going to see what happens here. I could still make it into a landscape, and I might. The last paper that I worked on was sanded. This one is shockingly like suede. It is smooth, 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 but isn't it a nice neutral? If you look at it compared to this value study, right, it's probably a 4. This is a 5, right? And you can tell by, see how there's a distinct line where it's like white to gray, a little bit lighter gray to this one. And around here, which is 5, you start to lose that edge. So I'm guessing it's a value 4. It's nice to have a mid-tone like that to play with. All right, so we begin. Maybe I won't do a square. Maybe I will kind of be more attentive to the shape it is. Ish. It's always ish. And what's so nice about these pieces on paper is if I have like a 6x6 frame, maybe just this part is good, right? I can cut it. There's something really freeing about that. So what do we think I'm doing here? Well, people who have watched any of the other episodes know that this is the beginning drawing, right? What is my horizon? Darkest darks, lightest lights. And so I'm giving myself that map. Okay, this is all light. Sky. It's pretty light over here too. Not as light. So maybe I'll give myself this kind of plan, right? Lightest, also light. And the rest is pretty dark. That was a gray. Maybe I can do this, right? And what is the point in taking these few moments, right? It's just that I am seeing my picture more, spending a little more time with it. So that when I start to paint, even though it's pastels and it can be considered drawing, it's still painting. Like I've seen it before, I've thought of it before. That matters, right? So that's kind of that shape. Every time I do this, and I think doing it through this show has reinforced how much I love these beginning marks. All right, so there we are. This is this gorgeous garden in New Bedford. And it has this labyrinth that you can walk and, meditate. It's such a special place. So there are clouds and things. I am not good at clouds. I might simplify, I might not, we will see. And I shouldn't say I'm not good at it. They just provide me a pretty intense challenge. That's okay, I can always try. I can always erase, I can always go over. The thing about this paper is it is remarkable in how smooth it is and how many layers of pastel it will accept. And I'm amazed at how it accepts those layers when I can't feel any of the texture. You can do pastel on watercolor paper. That has a nice texture. But it's only going to accept like so many layers. Pastel paper, it's designed to really accept layers. And my website, kimweineck.com, will have a lot of resources about where and what you can get, what you need. You might not know, but this color here, it looks white, but it's not white. Like I used a light blue pastel. So I am basically layering in to suggest like that's kind of my sky. And see how there is, I'm not sure what color, I'm not sure I have the color. Told you that is always the challenge. Like I don't have the color that I want, but this is like a little swath of blue, whereas the rest is cloud. And I shouldn't, I try not to say should or just, like, because it's never as easy as, oh, you should or should not, or you just do. But I wanted it to feel a little bit more resolved before I moved on to other. So that's kind of the back. You can see, right? That's the back. See, that's the blue. That's the blue. It's bigger than here. That's okay because I can always refine. It's that positive space, negative space. Now it's what color are these trees. Now this one's super dark, and then these almost look like the, if you've seen an olive tree, the underside is like a silvery kind of ashy color. And so I want to decide like what color, how dark. So what color is this? Oh, it's pretty good. This one's going to be darker. So watch, it's the same color, but if I push down more, see how I end up with a darker color. Okay, so there we are with that last layer. It's funny how quick it can be. There's another color in front that is another version of like a dullish green, that kind of silvery green. Sagey? Let's see. See, it's kind of this, but this almost has too much yellow in it. But I'm trying, we'll see. And then in front of that is even a more light version. See, if I hold the stick up to it, it almost looks the same. So I'm gonna play with that bigger. Right, look at how quickly that goes in. Now you can see there's a texture to the paper. Do I like that texture? Well, I have this need to cover it. I'm trying to fight that need. And see how on top, like if I really push down, I do cover it. But we talk about edges, right? Where color meets color. And in the landscape, parts of the landscape, I want it to be softer. And so holding that whole stick on its side gives me that kind of softness. So we do have a nice sense of it, but notice how I haven't blended a lot. You can take a brush and you can blend, and it can unify and kind of cover up the paper and be dusty. Like, I don't know, do I want to do that? Sure. It softens all the edges, kind of merges the colors together. So many tools available to us. So here, let's do something. I'm not going to cover all of this. This is a bunch of like flowers that had gone to seed, beautiful little seed heads, some goldenrod. What I want to do is figure out, that's like the vertical. And so I'll have like the bottom of it, the midtone, and then the seed heads. I want to get what is down here. What is the grass? What color is that? I'm going to guess. So this color, this happens to me a lot with green, and I don't know if it's how I see or what it is, but it always feels a little too greens. This happens to me with greens constantly, no matter if I have 90 to choose from or 12. It just feels too like blue, too unnatural. So see, now this color I just put on top, this feels too light and too much like pea soup. How about that? We don't want pea soup. So I don't think I have the color that I need in that brand. So I'm gonna move over to my Cuckoo Expensive brand. And that's better, but it's a little too dark. But sometimes pastels are about layering. So I'm gonna leave that. And I'm gonna get to the bottom of the seed heads. And just kind of intuitively guessing color and marks. And you'll see too, like this paper behaves differently than that last paper that I was using. And they all have benefits. They're just giving you different results. So. One thing is, this is a Sennelier stick, and it's gray. and I put it here, and it almost looks like it's an eraser, right? It's bringing me back to the color of the paper, and I kind of think that's fun. You know, I don't want to like cover each thing. I want to let some of the paper and some of this effect just be. Let's see. So I haven't done a garden like this. It does have a lot, I mean, except for that little cute study. It does have similarities to if I were in the marsh landscape. Sometimes, wow, these really are giving me, I have to use them more so I can get them out. Sometimes, like if I feel a little daunted, right? Like I know that there is a little shape of a yellow flower over here. So maybe I just suggest that as a little reward, a little enticement to keep going. There's also a little over here. And so it just makes me pretty happy to know that those colors are in my painting. I don't know if that makes sense. There are some almost spent like black-eyed Susans. You're not going to see each one, but you're going to have kind of like this suggestion of some. So see, like I'm just suggesting that they're there. Okay, so I think we have a covered surface. What I want to show too is on the last episode where I used that sanded paper, if I blended, it would all blend into one. But look how I did these grays and I rub it, like it's not really blending. So it's remarkable how this paper is almost like this trap. I don't know how they do it. It's pretty remarkable. All right, so it's pretty much an even layer from top to bottom. Right? Not too detailed, not too loose, all the same level of loose, kind of that blueprint. So now I'm going to start at the top and go down. Well, let's see. This one I think is too blue. So I'm going to take actually, this is a mid-tone gray. And let's see, just kind of go over it. And fill in. So that stick was the long part of the stick that I broke. So now I'm using this one on its side and it's much shorter. All right. I can't help myself. Like I'm already doing like little sky holes. Like you can't really do those yet. It's too early. You know, I kind of talk about those little suggestions of the marks that are fun. Like, cause I have different parts. Like, you know, I've called the middle of a painting the yuck period because I'm always so overwhelmed by it. And so to get through the yuck period, I do like those fun little drawing bits that I know are at the end, but they make me happy and kind of give me enough confidence and energy like to push through. Right, so see how it's such a different effect on this paper? I love it, but it is really different. Okay, so. And again, no one knows this, but they do know my painting. That little sky jot out is a little big, so I'll play with that when I go back to the tree. All right, and so I've talked about too, that painting is very, you know, positive space, negative space. And so my sky here, right now as I paint it, is the positive space, and then the trees are the negative space. So I'm going to put down that gray tone that was my sky, and now I'm going to play with that, with the trees. Not a dark enough color, so I'm going to go back and pick a darker green, and kind of start to paint that. So now the trees become my positive space. And let's see, what is the contour. That's the shape, like the outward shape of it. Playing with the contour. All right. Feels fun. And see, like these edges, very soft. Nature's pretty soft. When I do my little like silly dots, they're almost like too harsh a line. Like that line is harsh. So the hard pastels behave differently on this paper. So, you know, I do all different mediums, and I've been teaching 2 different art classes lately. And they're like, you know, how do you decide what medium you're working in? And I was saying how I almost work exclusively in certain mediums until I do just junk and I'm just not happy with any of the results of what I'm doing. And then it's like I kind of swear off, like I'm never going to touch that medium again. And I rotate through all of the ones that I like to do. But lately, I've been like called to, feeling the call of I want to paint more pastels. They're really, it's just fun and immediate. So I'm struggling to find a color that I like for, there's like these trees in front of those darks. Everything is just a little too intense. And when I painted it in a color that I thought was right, it matched the sky too much. And so it ended up looking like I was like erasing the trees for the trees in front. So like I said though, like layer, layer, layer. I like it. Okay, so now what is the next, right? So see how it was the first layer, now it's the second. So we're back into all of these. Let's use one of these soft guys. Let's see if I can find a color that's right. Is it this? This is pretty crazy. Might be a little too bright. Maybe I can use it as an accent. A light hand. It's really bright. But again, right, it's like how I apply it matters. And it gives kind of that illusion of depth in the shape of that. It looks like some leaves, right? Do I see how you can kind of give form through some of that positive space, negative space? I think I'm a little premature in doing it, but it makes me kind of excited, and I can envision that that could be right. So now there's this kind of like neutral grayy color. Do you love that? Grayy. So let's drag it up into the seed heads and see just the difference in how I bear down on that pastel stick. Creates a really nice variation in how that is shown. Let's see, I'm going to bring it back here nice and light. It's looking, I like it. I always want to, remember a long time ago I talked about cake. That you know, you gather your ingredients, you mix it all together, and you bake the cake. Then you put a layer of frosting, and the final touch is decorate the cake. I love decorating the cake, but that's not yet. But we're definitely getting closer. And I'm excited about how this cake might taste. So I often do things like this. This is a nice field of dark, little dots of color on top that are bright. So that's a value contrast from the dark to the light. But look, this is the opposite, a little bit of dark on the light. And I like that kind of fun effect from pastel to pastel, from field of color to field of color. So we're winding up, and again, it's been a really pleasant half hour of painting. I can't wait to sit with this one and see how I address some of it. There are, like classical painters like Albrecht Dürer, who has done studies of meadow grasses that are so beautiful. I've always wanted to sit in a field and do a study like that, but I'm kind of impatient. But I would like to sit in my studio with this and see what happens. So this color is the same as this one, and so that's not good. I need to make sure that this color is different. I don't want those two layers to come to the same point in the picture plane. Whew, that was a lot of talking. Here's a purpley gray. What happens if I do that? Because in the fall garden, how the seed heads get all like that puffy, like milkweed. And so rather than show that as white or gray, let's see what happens if I show it as purple. So interestingly, I don't think that there's enough for me to do for a whole other episode. So I'm definitely going to take this back to my studio and finish it before I record another episode. So next episode, 24, we'll start with the unveiling of how this lands. But I'll tell you, I'm pretty excited about it. It came far from that little start. But you can see how, with this not in front of me, but in mind, it informed where this goes. And all from this. And that was all from just a day running errands. And I ended up at a gallery that I'm in New Bedford and kind of researching where is some sort of nature preserve that I might be interested in. And so there I was, totally overwhelmed by how beautiful it was, even in fall that can be kind of not the most beautiful time for gardens. So these kinds of marks that I just can't help myself from making, these are the decorate the cake. We're not there yet, but so what? It's me, and I decided I wanted to do them. And so, perhaps you'll go get some pastels. Perhaps you'll take yourself on a little artist adventure to be inspired by nature around you. If you're nearby, maybe you'll try to take a class with me. I'll be listing my classes on my website. And I teach at some really beautiful local places run by some wonderful people. We need community, and I've met such wonderful people through teaching art. All right, I can't wait to show you what it looks like. I wonder where it'll land.